Nigerian Senate has approved the electronic transmission of election results directly to INEC Result Viewing Portal while retaining manual collation as a contingency in cases where technology fails. Now, the move comes after days of public debate, protest, and criticism from opposition parties and civil society organizations who argue that allowing manual transmission as backup could create loopholes that weaken transparency ahead of the 2027 general elections. Supporters of the amendment say the dual approach balances technological innovation with Nigeria's infrastructure realities, particularly in areas with limited connectivity. Critics, however, maintain that the credibility of future elections will depend heavily on how clearly the safeguards are defined. With the Senate's position now adopted, attention shifts to the conference committee, where lawmakers from both chambers will reconcile differences and agree on the final language of the Electoral Act amendment. The outcome of these deliberations could significantly shape public trust in the nation's electoral process in the years ahead. Well, joining me to discuss this right now on the program is Austin Aigbe, is a Regional Advocacy Officer of West Africa Democracy Solidarity Network. Is also a member of the Situation Room. He joins from our Abuja studio. We also have, of course, Dr. Joseph Udeaja. He is a political analyst. He joins from the U.S. And, of course, also joining the conversation is Meddy Olotu, a human rights activist. He joins from our Abuja studio. It's great to have you, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. All right. Also joining the conversation is Justice Uhuegbu. He's a legal practitioner. He joins from Imo State. It's great to have you, Justice. All right, let's, of course, let me start with you, Meddy Olotu. I mean, you, of course, are an activist, and we've seen protests, particularly as regards this Electoral Act. We saw one that happened a few weeks or days back that allowed the Senate to reconsider and bring it back. But right now, the protest seems to continue because of the caveat of a manual collation. I mean, as an activist yourself, would you say that so far, with the protests that have been held and the outcomes that we've seen, would you consider it some level of achievement or success? All right, while we are still trying to connect with Meddy, let me come back to, of course, you, Doctor. Doctor, let's look at all of the, will I call it, reactions that have followed, particularly with the caveat retaining the manual collation of results, even though the House has agreed that, look, electronic transmission should happen, but they put the manual one as contingency. Looking at Nigeria's, will I call it, infrastructural realities, would you say that it's in tandem or it's in line? Or are we looking at what some would describe as foul play in disguise?
Well, first of all, I think Nigerians should be really happy with where the country is in terms of addressing these critical issues. Okay, the House version, I see that as being too optimistic. Okay, essentially the House is saying let's go with electronic transmission and fix things as they come by. The Senate version seems to be more of, look, we need to face reality. And the reality is that we are not ready for moving completely to electronic transmission. And I seem to agree with the Senate, okay? I seem to agree because, look, even in countries like US, where electronic transmission has been going on for quite some time, there's always some issue that has to be, that makes it many times not possible. And so Nigeria at this point, I believe that having electronic system going on is very good, but there has to also be at the backdrop, if you will, the manual transmission of information. Because if you look at all the services that you need to make this happen, they are not ready. We are not ready where we can guarantee that electricity will be on. Our transmission system needs support from the electricity grid, which is not ready.
Dr. Udeaja, you said that we are not ready, but some have argued that it's this same infrastructure that people carry out multi-million dollar businesses. People do wire transfers, for instance, internet transfers when it comes to finance, and virtually a lot of transactions and businesses hang, on the internet. And some are saying, look, if Nigerians can trust the system or the infrastructure to carry out, multi-million dollar, transactions, then an election can as well hold hitch-free on this same infrastructure.
Sure. But you see, one thing that many people don't seem to understand, and it happens even in countries like US, is banking system is a very structured and highly fortified system for obvious reason, money, okay? And Nigerian banking system has been very good, and in fact is one of the best in Africa. So the question is, well, if the banking system, for example, is working, why wouldn't this work? Well, you have to go back and look at what the banks have done over the years. It took them time to get to this level. And even at this level, it is not 100%. Sometimes when I log into the bank that I have, there is some issue. So the point is, use electronic system, but also make sure that we have the manual system ready in case of many mishaps that obviously will happen. So I think that the two areas of the legislation will come to a system where they will say, look, we take what the House says and we look at what the Senate says, and my inclination is that they will come at that middle that the Senate is talking about. Right. I don't think that means not trusting the system. I think what that means is to make sure that any obstacle that may come on the way is addressed.
All right, thank you very much, Doctor. I'll come back to you, but let me take, from a legal standpoint, let me direct my next question right now to Justice. Justice, let's look at the legal umbrella around this. This conversation around the electronic transmission of results, we know that if we date it back to recent past 2023 elections, it was part of the issues that, snowballed into tribunals, right? It was a major, major consideration. Now, I'd like you to speak particularly from a legal standpoint. Are we looking at legal crossfires around this?
For now, there is no issue concerning that because it has not been made a law. And that is why Nigerians started pushing for it to be legislated on so that it will become a law, so that everybody will follow. But you see, moving forward, the truth about it is in governance, you try to look at popular demands, public opinion. What is the public opinion saying? The public opinion of Nigerians is that electronic control of results should be implemented. And remember, this issue has even been legislated upon before. The Senate has already sat and deliberated on it, and majority of the Senate members has already voted for it before they try to do their brouhaha and all the rest that spring up problems in Nigeria. So I don't see the reason why any right-thinking Nigerian would not want to adopt or agree to electronic transmission of results. Remember that Nigeria will have practiced this manual issue since for years and decades. But see where it has landed Nigerians. So we cannot say that we cannot do it. When people talk about we, then the question is, who are we? The we, is it the people in government or the totality of Nigerians or the majority of Nigerians? That is the question. That is the million-dollar question one should ask. And for anybody who not supporting this, I don't know why and what the person is thinking by now.
All right, I'll definitely come back to you. I would explore this also beyond elections and election day to post-election and what the implication of this, might be. But we'll go on our first break. When we return, the show continues. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and we're looking at, of course, the conversations around the electronic transmission of election results, which has continued to generate reaction, particularly because of the caveat of retaining the manual transmission should there be issues. I still have my guests with me, but let's go to our Abuja studio right now, where we have Meddy Olotu sitting by, and of course, Mr. Austin Aigbe. I would start with you, Meddy. Meddy, you're an activist. We know that there have been, quite a number of protests, one of which allowed or led to the Senate sitting and, of course, allowing for the electronic transmission of results. And right now we also saw the protest also that happened today. You are part of it. And looking at what has happened so far, would you say that some level of victory has been achieved? Are you satisfied with what has been attained so far on ground as part of those that protested?
Yeah, so far, I'm satisfied, but not 100% because of the bot that is there. So it's not, I'm not satisfied like 100%. And after we can have full-time electronic reform, like not having that manual part of it, because I don't know why they are still bringing in that manual thing, because we can do these things. We can make it happen. This system can work. You understand? Like every other thing, it can work. But they just know how to play these games, and sometimes they are planning their own thing behind. But this can work. If the government wants to make this work, they can actually make this work. They shouldn't tell us that, there's a manual backup for this. No. If the government wants to make this work, they can make it work. In every of the village you go to now, if you don't find one network there, you can find another. There's always network in any village you go to right now. Like in my own state in Benue, if you go there, every of the village, you must find one there that will serve you when you are at that point.
But can I also play the devil's advocate here? What happens in an event of a downtime?
If we are really prepared for this, there won't be any downtime. Trust me, if we are really, really prepared for this, there won't be any downtime. This will definitely work. The manual thing that they are planning to do is just for another agenda, not for the fact that Nigerians need that. It's just for another agenda. That's why they are planning that one. And we are coming out to say this time, there won't be any rigging of election. If no electronic, then that manual thing is out of it. Trust me. And that's why we are coming out tomorrow again. We are out today. We actually went out today and we are still going out tomorrow. We want that bot. You see that statement bot that is there? We want it out of this whole conversation. Trust me. We want it out.
So the protest continues tomorrow?
It continues till we get it 100%. 100%. That's what we want.
All right. Let me leave you and go to Mr. Aigbe. Mr. Aigbe, do you also share the same, will I call it, opinion as Mr. Olotu?
So there's need to understand there are evidence, there are historical data to this. I will not go to just mere conclusion. What is called IREF today, the transmission of result, as an historical fact. Before IREF came on board, there was what was called the Form EC 60E. The purpose of the Form EC 60E is for accountability. When elections is concluded at the polling unit, having written the results on the Form EC 8A, it is transferred into a postal-like form, which is posted at the polling unit. But what usually had happened over time is that political actors who had lost election at the polling unit go ahead to pull them down. In an attempt to make it becoming digital, there is need for transparency and accountability. We went into a 2022 Electoral Act reform, and that is the first time that Section 60 came on board, that there need to be electronic transmission of results or the format to be decided by INEC. We were so excited. The truth of the matter is, we are not doing electronic voting. We have seen a lot of misinformation around this conversation. There is no electronic voting that results in electronic transmission that people begin to see that result. We are not in the US model. We are not. Here you are in Nigeria. You still go ahead to vote with a ballot paper. The ballot paper is counted. There's a tally at the end of the day. Results are written manually on the form EC8A, which is then taken as a photograph using the beavers, and that is what is a transmission we are talking about. And if you see, I've had a lot of misinformation around this conversation. What is the conversation is accountability, transparency. Allow voters who have voted at the polling unit to have access to their polling results online to validate that what they saw at the polling unit is the same as online. It has not to do with downtime. No, not at all.
Sorry, just to get this correctly, are you saying that there might be some sort of misplacement of priority in terms of what the actual agitation should be here?
No, it's not misplacement. It came from the 2022 Act that INEC does have. I mean, the National Assembly gave INEC the power to go ahead to make subsidiary legislature on the transfer of results. Underline the word, transfer of results. As at that time, we were excited because it was new. You could take results. Because before the 2023 election, we have seen results transmitted online. It has been done far back in 2018. Most people don't know. It was done 2018, it is done 2019, but it was not legal. The first time it became legal was in 2022. And after the 2022 Electoral Act, we've seen Ekiti transferred online. We've seen Osun election transferred online. Edo, Ondo, the recent being in Anambra election of 2025. Results were transferred online. So what do you need to do as interested party like all of us, even media, News Central, can go pick up each result online and be able to tabulate and compute with evidence.
All right, before I leave you, what's your, I mean, there's another focus saying real time. They don't want a situation whereby maybe...
The real time,
okay.
The real time, that is what part of what we're saying. That is a challenge with the 2023 election. Because it wasn't written clearly in the act, it mandated INEC to determine. So the law is to say explicitly state in real time, so that when you have transferred it, anytime, even though there's no internet at the point where you are, as you have contact with the internet, the data you have transferred earlier goes online immediately. Citizens can have access to it. So the real issue, I think the Senate is trying to be very smart by putting that caveat that where it fails, so that they can make it fail. We are saying transmit it. In the 2023 election, they could not even transmit it. That's the problem. Most polling officials we had conversation with said they didn't have the login data because it was not mandatory. It was not in real time. Now you are saying in real time, transmit it so that it leaves you. It has left you. Whether you go ahead at the collation point, because you are still going to go to the collation center with your form EC8A with a ROO, the returning officer at the registration center who receive your results and label them appropriately. Let me tell you something. In 2019, at the word collation point, there is somebody with a computer who records what is being said by the presiding officer of the polling unit. That result will be received by INEC official, a certain number or a certain category of INEC official. But what people don't know is that we keep being misled with the Senate model to say that where it fails, because in 2023 it did fail, and because it was not made mandatory. So right now you're saying in real time, transmit the result.
All right.
Transmute it.
All right.
Don't transfer it, transmit it.
All right, thank you very much. Let me leave you for a moment and go to Dr. Udeaja for his reaction. In case you'd like to react to some of the things that have been said, but I would like you to make reference to the last general elections and this one that Nigerians are looking at in view. That's 2027. For you, would you say there has been some level of improvement since then? And are there takeaways that you feel needs to be addressed in advance?
Electronic system has become more reliable. Now, having said that, does it mean that it's perfect? No, it is not perfect. So, I listened to what the two gentlemen were saying, and I think both of them are making some great points, okay? Mr. Meddy talking about the difficulties and the believability of this data is important. There is one aspect of making sure that your voting is captured. The other part is making sure that what you voted was transmitted into the system, so it will be counted, okay? I believe that Nigeria is the point where they can assure people that their votes are counted. And I believe that Nigeria is now at the point where they're saying, how do we make sure that the votes were transmitted to the appropriate place? I think that's where the problem is. So if we now take it that the votes are being counted, that have been received, which is what happens in this country. I go to vote, I fill the form, and I push it through the electric system that looks like a fax, and it records. Then the state or locality collects that information and transmits, okay, electronically. In some cases, they have a delay. So I think Nigeria is at the point where they're able to collect the information, the voting record from the people or their votes. And then they're at the point where they're saying, should you rely on electronic system to transfer it on a timely basis? Because that's important. And my concern is that that is the area that Nigeria is not 90%, in fact. I think Nigeria is probably 70, close to 80% at that point, which is why I think that having the alternative of saying, if this doesn't transmit on a timely basis, then we need to make sure that we do something manually. Now, let me get to the issue of, I believe it was Mr. Uhuegbu, I believe, that said that people have problem sometimes of doing the voting, and they can go safe at Benue. That was Mr. Meddy, sorry. And they can go to their neighbor, for example. Well, you see the problem right there. The moment that an individual has to move from one place to another, you have lost some people from voting, okay? A movement in Nigeria is not as easy, so you may call it going to the neighbor. It's not that easy. So the manual process should go hand in hand with the electronic process until at that point when it is close to 100%. And both of them can work. I don't see. I think the major issue that we Nigerians in general have, we don't have trust on the system.
I mean, trust is
but if you don't trust the system you live in, it's really hard to believe in it.
All right. I mean, trust is one pivotal issue here that Nigerians seem to, that seems to be in the vacuum. And you might not really entirely want to blame Nigerians because of the experiences many of them have had in the past. But I'll come back to you, sir. We'll go on our next break. When we return, we'll expand the conversation to look at the role of other key parties within this election circle and how many of them are fearing and what they also need to do. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television. And of course, we are discussing, in lieu of 2027 general polls, so many matters that seem to arise. I still have my guests with me. Now, one of such matters is the electronic transmission of results, which has continued to generate reactions. Let me come to you, Justice. Justice, now, one issue that seems to stick out, particularly if we look at just the recent general election of 2023, is tribunals. Many of the elections that happened eventually was the court that had to determine who the final winner is. And Nigerians are asking, at the end of the day, what's the essence of going there queuing, voting, and then at the end of the day, it ends up on the lap, of a judge to determine who eventually is the final winner. So I want to ask you, do you think that with everything we are seeing and all of these reforms put in place, we would see a reduced, involvement of the judiciary in this process?
Judiciary must be involved. There are no two ways about it. But I have to tell us the fact that no matter the kind of reform we bring in today or amendment we bring to the Electoral Act, if we do not reform INEC itself, it will not work. Are you hearing me?
Yes. So how do we reform INEC? In what capacity are you saying?
Fine. Reforming INEC, I mean, is that to institutionalize the system, in the sense that everybody have been talking about trust. The major problem we have here is that people don't even trust the INEC. Why? Because INEC is still playing the mantra of he who pays the piper determines the tune. There's no two ways about it. When you appointed the INEC chairman, you're INEC chairman and not the president's chairman or not the party chairman. So whether we like it or not, until INEC starts, for example, if INEC officials will do the needful at the polling booth and during elections, some of these problems we're having will not have it. There are no two ways about it. We tell ourselves the truth and we know the truth about the whole thing. So, you see, the major problem we have here is lack of sincerity of purpose. We are not sincere. Look at what is happening. Look at what the Senate is doing. Just because they are looking for a leeway or they are looking for a way, they are looking for a caveat to continue perpetuating what has been done in the past years so that it will continue. That's why I talked about reforming INEC itself. There are a lot of things that should be done. And secondly, again, the individual that is involved. Now, we will now have a new INEC chairman. Will the new INEC chairman live above board? So even if you transfer results or transmit results, what they are going to transmit, is it what the people will vote? For example, I belong to NBA. As I speak to you, every NBA member, every lawyer in Nigeria can sit in the comfort of his home and vote on the day of election. And his vote will go. You'll be seeing it. You'll be calculating, you'll be following it up. We are doing as if we are no longer in this century moving on. We watch elections in US, in UK, even in Somalia. As the election is going on, transmission of results is ongoing and people are watching it. People are seeing it. People are using it to calculate the possible winner of election. Why can't something happen in Nigeria? And we're bringing excuses, unnecessary excuses.
All right, thank you very much. Let's go back to our Abuja studio. Meddy, of course, this question goes to you. There are some that have the opinion that, look, focusing entirely on whether results are transmitted electronically or in real time seems to be, a misplacement of focus. Some have the opinion that there are other pivotal issues that need to be addressed. For instance, the monetization and how cost, gulping our election processes should also be at the fore. Some have even given instances of where a certain candidate was in the market pricing groundnut, and another candidate, and his allies were buying buses. And that's to tell you the mindset of many that, look, for elections, you need to spend. There are many that are advocating that, look, you need to spend and spend. While some are saying this isn't right. So do you think, I'm talking to you as an activist right now, because we know that there are protests ongoing, like you have said. Do you think that this protest, if at all, or these conversations should expand just beyond the electronic transmission of results? There are other issues involved in it. For instance, the role of players like the security agencies, amongst others. So my question is to you, Meddy. Are you in focus?
Yeah, I feel is that we should take it one at a time. What we are doing right now will actually solve a lot of problems. Because if we don't tackle this, a whole lot of things won't actually work. And that's why we need to be focused as Nigerians. We need to come together. All these things need all of us to be able to make this thing work. Because as you're leaving one, we can actually swing into another to make that one happen. because what I feel in all of this is that I feel we should take it one at a time. Like the electoral amendment thing we're doing now, coming out in mass, coming out to lend our voice, coming out to stand and be like, okay, we want this to change. Really, there are a lot of issues, actually. There are a lot of issues. But we just feel this is very, very important. I won't lie. We are focusing on this because it's very, very important. If this can change, a lot of things will actually change.
Okay, Meddy, before I move away from you, I would also like you to talk on how it appears that recently our elections have been heavily monetized, right? As an activist, what do you think can be done?
I feel it's actually the mindset of the people. We can actually change the mindset of the people and make them feel like even without money, a lot of things can still happen. And we are gradually doing that. That without money, we can actually make these things happen. Yes, that's the mindset. Okay, a lot of persons are buying buses, like the example you give. One other one is in the market pricing. A lot of things needs to restructure. And that thing comes from you and I. We need to change our mindset and look at it and be like, okay, these are the people that mean well for this country. We all know them. We all know the people that really wants to make this thing work. But they don't have these boxes. They don't have what it takes to make it, as in to make this nation work. There are a lot of people that want to come out and stand for it. There are a lot of people that want to change things in this country. But they can't make it happen because, like you said, a lot of things have been monetized, which our mindset, we just want to go for the money. This program is actually me telling a lot of people to change their mindset. We need to change our mindset first. All right. We need to change our mindset in how we see these people. Like, if you don't have the money, you can't do these things. All
right, I'm going to direct the same question to Austin. Mr. Aigbe, I mean, looking at the, the amount of, money involved right now in campaigns and elections. I mean, we see it around. Do you think that any credible individual, maybe without the resources, can come out to say, you know what, I want to run without having the money to spend? Does it stand a chance?
So let me tell you, election is not a tea party. It's expensive all over the world. I've seen election in more than 30 countries. I've seen election even in the United States. I participated in 2016, in the 2012 and the 2016 election in the United States. I was then a student at the New York University. I've seen elections. Elections are not cheap, let me put it that way. That is why you have political party system in a way that there is a structure of mobilization. So that is, if you go to Ghana, election is not cheap, so it won't be cheap in Nigeria. But what is more expensive, maybe that's the day high, or what you're talking about, is the vote buying. Because certain individuals in Nigeria, I mean, like Meddy has said, you need to change mindset. For me, the mindset of the average Nigerian is that they've already won. So let me just collect my money and go. That is a perception that electronic transmission of results will deal with. And why will it deal with it? Because I see my brother from, my colleague from the United States, from Tennessee, you know, what we are asking, the US does not have electronic voting all over the world. Only maybe a few countries, maybe including India, where you have electronic voting, not internet voting. Limited countries does have internet voting where data accumulates and you are seeing it in real time. That is not what we are saying. We are not saying that you vote and then they see it. That's not the argument. The argument is that you would have done election manually, the same system all over the world. You have done election, you have voted, the results have been, the votes have been tabulated, have been counted, then you take a picture, a PDF. You know why people are arguing the 2022 Electoral Act? That what about hacking? We are not dealing with hacking. The hacking people are talking about is when you digitally send messages. For instance, you have numbers that because we have blockchain technology, people could hack the system and change the data. But we are saying no. This is a PDF file. You have to download the file, change the figure, and re-upload. That is not an easy task. So as we speak today, we are not asking for electronic voting. We are not talking about internet voting. Don't take us to that point of hacking. Don't take us to the point of infrastructural decay. There is, in fact, in India, people with one vote, they go into the nook and cranny in India, far away, close to Bangladesh, to get one voter to vote with electronic means, not internet, a machine. So what am I trying to say? Let me quickly speak to the lawyer, to my friend, Justice. The bane of our architecture today is the judicial system, who have undermined INEC regulatory power. Today, nobody questioned the CBN power to administer subsidiary legislature. Nobody questioned the NCC. Everybody talk about INEC. INEC have put up a fantastic policy. INEC is one of the most improved institutions in the Nigerian system. Meanwhile, the judicial jurisprudence tend to undermine INEC capacity. And that is why we are taking INEC, literally taking INEC's guideline to the law. Put it in the law so that we know. INEC, no alternative. Take the picture of the results, transmit in real time.
All right. I mean, you've definitely taken the ball to the judiciary, and of course, you called Justice. So we would go on a quick break. When we return, I'll give Justice the opportunity to respond to this or react to this. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Before we go, I'm coming to you right now. Justice, I just want to give you 30 seconds to respond to some of the issues Mr. Aigbe has raised, saying that, look, the judiciary has been complicit majorly in undermining the powers of the performance of INEC. How do you react? 30 seconds.
Well, let me quickly say this. You see, let us understand that judiciary is just one arm of the government. The major problem we have here is that the executive has succeeded in to swallow both the judiciary and the legislature. Remember, the major aim or the main role of the judiciary is to interpret the laws. You see, the problem we have here is this. In Nigeria, tell me one politician today or in the past that has been prosecuted and punished or jailed. If that is done, others would take correction and they will not be doing what they are doing. Like this issue of vote buying we are saying. How many people has INEC or the security agents arrested and prosecuted for vote buying? None. Why? Because they are the high and mighty in the society. The politicians are the problem we are having. The executive are the problem we are having. And the problem is that the executive sees themselves as all and all. And both the legislature and the judiciary now becomes or are under the executive. That is why we're having problems. Remember, once there is any legal dispute or issues, it will definitely go to the judiciary. But the problem is the manipulation that people bring in the table. And that is why where we are today. So when people talk about judiciary, yes, I don't blame them. But because the executive has succeeded in a sort of turning the hand clock of the country otherwise. And that's why I say that any country in the world that is judiciary fails, that country is moving to doom. And that's exactly what is happening to Nigeria today. So it is neither here nor there. If we want to tell ourselves the truth, we must start from ourselves. Like I said, a politician will go to the market and be doing all sorts of things and nothing will happen. Even on the day of election, you see security agents backing a politician with money. Some of them carry this money and following them about. So, and nothing is happening. So what do you expect the judiciary to do?
All right, let's move away from there. My final question will go to you, Dr. Udeaja. Let's look at the role of the opposition in all of this. Would you say that the current administration has been fair to the opposition? I particularly, like to streamline it to, for instance, what is going on with the former Kaduna State Governor, Nasir El-Rufai, who did make some allegations, and right now is, of course, being wanted by some certain agencies. So would you say that looking at Nigeria's current democratic landscape, the opposition, number one, is given the opportunity to really thrive and do what they are meant to do in the process?
Sure, which is the opposition to the ruling party, which is APC. I think the opposition it needs to get their acts together. Let me put it that way. Having said that, though, I think that the situation with Arufe, I think Arufe is one of those politician that I would say is a disappointment. And I'm just saying it. I don't know him personally.
You think former Governor Rufai is a disappointment?
I think he's a disappointment.
Why?
And I'm saying that from the perspective of what I read about him, okay? I consider him a few years ago as one of the top-notch Nigerian politicians that could be trusted. Over time, though, again, based on information out there, I started to wonder if there was another part of him that we didn't know. And so, if you look at how he has supported different politicians that made it all the way to the presidency, for example, you found that in there lies a person who is doing all this for himself. That is not good, okay? And in Nigeria, many people will not see it. He's doing it for his own. And that is not what you need. You want somebody that will come out and tell you, if I'm a president, I want somebody that will come out and tell me the truth about what is going on, even when I'm wrong. Not palliate me and then at the end or somewhere along the line want to hurt me. So again, I'm saying this based on information. I don't know him personally, but I respected him from things I read, observed. And then in recent months, it seemed to be there is another person in there.
All right.
But again,
okay,
you can find that very many people there, or even in this country. But in terms again of the opposition, I think the opposition in Nigeria now needs to find their place. I don't even know who is going to run against Tinubu.
All right.
And APC is fortified. They are ready to go.
All right, thank you very much, because we're really pressed for time. Austin, I'd like you to respond to some of the things that doctors raised, particularly as regards the former governor of Kaduna State. Do you think, just like in his words, he's a disappointment, a political turncoat?
INEC has prosecuted a number of cases, including the Akwa Ibom case where an academic staff who performed role is serving some terms in jail. That was INEC prosecution, and many others. I don't want to go into details. For El-Rufai, I think this is politics. And what is politics? The authoritative allocation of scarce resources. Politics is about interest. Once interest aligns, there is no problem with division. This El-Rufai was the one dancing with the current president a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago. What is happening? I think about, when we talk about issue of tapping, I think claim. So if El-Rufai come out tomorrow to say that the person who tapped into the NSA's phone is the president's very close individual, will the DSS go after that person? This is a claim, and I think it's a problem. I think El-Rufai, I think the federal government just want to make him popular the more. That's my opinion. It may be wrong. But importantly, El-Rufai ought not to have made that kind of weighty claim. He has to go to court and make that, and clarify himself and remove himself from the dungeon.
All right, gentlemen, I'd like to say a big thank you for your time on the program this evening. It's been a pleasure having you all. Once again, thank you for your time.